So for today's Mobility Monday, I am going to go over some glute activation exercises. I'm going to be using a cordless ball. You can use a pillow. When I have issues with my hip, which I've rehabbed for a couple years now, I tend to lean more towards using the deep rotators of the hip, those external rotators. You might notice that you have a propensity for that if you are constantly clenching your glutes, if you get a really deep pain in the glute, if you find yourself unable to build glute mass. There kind of gets that imbalance of the glute musculature. So activating my adductors helps to turn those off so that I can focus more on glute max. So that's why I'm going to use the ball here. And I also find it works really well for my pre and postpartum patients too, because of working with the pelvic floor, because it directly affects that. And it works really well with my hip replacement patients too. So you can grab your ball, and we're going to start with just the regular glute bridge and add the ball into it. So we'll add in breath work as we do this. So I want you can have your hands at the lower ribs, tucking the chin. We're going to inhale. Try to think wide into the hands, and then on the exhale, squeeze the ball and hover the hips. So you're squeezing in and lifting. And I don't want you to lift up so super high like this so that you're feeling it in your low back. I want you to have just ever so slightly tuck under of the tailbone, squeezing in on that ball so you're feeling inner thighs and glutes fired up here. And then lower on the inhale. And you can play around with where your feet are at. The closer they are in is going to change where you feel it in the hamstrings, glutes, everything. So we're going to have you inhale again, nice 360 breath. Exhale, squeeze the ball, lift the glutes. It's easy to lighten up your squeeze at the top of the glute bridge. Try to refocus, get that engagement again at the top, kind of assess where you're feeling it at, and then lower. Next exercise we're going to do is an elevated glute bridge. So I have a little bench here, but you can put your feet up on a chair or something as long as it's stable. You're using the ball again, same idea, nice 360 breath. Breathing into the entire rib cage. Exhale, squeeze the ball, lift the hips, keeping the arch out of the low back so we're not really rising and getting that anterior tilt. We want to slightly tuck the tailbone under, squeezing at the top, and then play around with your feet. Instead of having the feet flat, maybe go light in the toes, and feel how using a different part of the foot is going to affect where you feel it. And then lower on the inhale. You can do as many reps as you want depending on where you're at in your strength. The other one we're going to do are hip thrusts. So I'm going to use the bench again, using my ball. So same idea, but we're upright. And this can also work for mostly my pregnant patients can lie flat on their back. A lot of people deliver on their back. I didn't, but that's how they do it. But there are a small percent of the population that can't tolerate lying on their back for very long. So this is a good alternative, and it's a good exercise to just keep things varied for your glutes anyways. So feet are a little narrower than hip width or hip width. We're going to inhale 360, and on the exhale we're going to lift the hips and squeeze the ball. And You don't want to press up into that anterior tilt. You want to make sure that is just ever so slightly tucked under, so you're feeling it in the hamstrings and glutes. And then lower on the inhale. So again, inhale, 360. Exhale, you're squeezing the knees in, and then picking the hips up. And make sure not to lose the squeeze at the top. It's very easy to lose the squeeze of the ball at the top of the exercise. Give this a try and let me know where you feel it at, or if you feel it in your glutes and hamstrings.